I love having theme music. This is just awesome.
I don't hear
it. Doug Gore, also known as Dougie Doo. How are you, sir?
I am doing just peachy, man. How about yourself?
You know what? Life is incredible. I am the happiest guy in the world. So
there you go.
Any better, I'd have to be twins, and I just don't think life is ready for that.
No, see, I still disagree, man. I think there's multiple of you. I don't think you're real, but hey.
You're a little cyborg there, so
there you go.
It's all good. So we have got some exciting things coming up. We are going to be at the huge. Oh, hold on! I am feedback, and life is ready for that.
What did you do?
Damn it! I gotta.
You got other things open. See
how about that losing composure?
There you go.
Now I'm going to be watching myself on Facebook. A couple of minutes later, I gotta block that screen off. So, damn technology.
There you go.
All right. So anyway, we are quickly coming on up here to the huge convention, and it was a year ago that you and I first debuted our plant and property protection class.
Yep.
And we'll be doing that this year as well on August 7th, correct?
Yep. Just the day before the huge convention, which is what the 8th and the 9th. And boy, for those out there that haven't made the decision yet whether or not to go to the huge, I greatly encourage you to do that.
Absolutely. I just, and I know probably people are sitting here getting tired of just seeing, the huge. But I mean, you and I, we met. Face it, yeah. I mean, you and I met at a convention. We began our friendship at an event, and Daniel Howerton. Just how can you not love this? This comment that he just made, and I don't know how to show his comment here. I need to figure this out. Daniel Howard said, I just paid $800 in petunias. Everybody should pay attention to this because obviously I haven't in the past.
I see that, yeah. There you go. Well, I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do and, what the class is actually about. Mm-hmm. You had said something about technology, when we first started this thing about how the technology that, you've got one screen open and then you got the other screen and technology is fighting you in reality. And technology is one of those things that we're going to talk about in the class. I mean, the technology of our industry has really moved forward with the different types of, shouldn't say the different types of bleach, but really the different strengths of the bleach that are out there, the surfactants that have entered into the industry, and just the way that the technology is taking this industry really different directions. And if you don't follow that, I'm not going to say you're destined for failure, you're not, but you're destined to have more problems than you really need to have.
And it's funny you mentioned them. Actually, I'm sitting here writing a note down, because it's something that we talk about. You talk about technology and the industry. One of the things that we discuss is the technology at the people's houses too. That's another just huge boogaboo that and we say in the class that we have. I mean, and I can't believe my office phone is ringing here at 9:20 at night. One of the things that we see, the technology is, I think that's something that we're going to have a problem with as washers, more so in the next 2, 3, 4 upcoming years than we've ever had before. That's going to be the thing that kicks people's butts and costs them money. And we discussed this in the plant and property, class, how to properly mask, what steps to take on this. Because think about it, all of the Ring doorbells, all of the home security cameras, all of the things that, the electronics that people are putting at their houses now.
And they're getting so small nowadays, and half the times you don't even know that they're there. And
Yep.
I tell my guys all the time, you have to treat every single house as if it not only has video, but it also has audio. So they can hear what you're saying and they can see what you're saying when they're not home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It must be somebody trying to get in touch with you.
Hold on one second. This ought to be fun. That was a call from Tim Aselton right there. So I don't know why he's calling me. So that was really strange, but he hung up. So I just trying to figure out if I'm actually at my office or not. But yeah, I mean, and that's something that we had a house just last year. And I think I put these pictures, the slides in there. It was a $1.5 million house. And, my guys reached up there. In fact, it wasn't even my guys. I was the one that went up there and wrapped it. And whenever we unwrapped it, the whole security camera came down with it. And this was a professional grade install. This was not a hairy homeowner type thing, but he had used just screws up and drive it, and it popped right on out. So, it's one of those things that you deal with. I mean, you have to deal with the customer. But I would have rather sealed and taped that camera, because if I hadn't sealed and taped that camera, I guarantee you water would have gotten behind that and shorted it out. So I'm dealing with basically screwing the camera back up versus buying a new camera on there.
That's what I liked about like some of the classes that we've done, and as we have the students in there and kind of going over the different things. One of the things we do is we talk about the different types of damages that are out there. And it's always, I love to see that light bulb go off like, oh man, I wish I'd have known, or I wish I'd have seen, or, I could have, those one moments that actually, and it's the light bulb in their head where this is what makes it all worth it right here. I mean, that little bit of information on the different types of damages and something like that you're not even thinking is going to be a potential for damage because you're covering it up. But then as you start to untape it, boom, it falls out.
Right.
It's more than just damage from bleach.
It's not, yeah. I mean, bleach is not necessarily, part of bleach is a problem. The overuse of bleach is a problem, but there's a lot more than just the bleach that's out there, and part of it, what we talk about is, how do we neutralize the bleach? More importantly, how do we neutralize the salt?
Right.
Because
how do we get rid of the salt?
Bleach is made of salt. And even though I might kill the bleach, I've still got a lot of salt there. I mean, a lot of salt.
Do you still have those salt containers?
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to show you how much salt is in a little thing. It's amazing how much salt is actually in your sauce.
Yep. Well, we had done the research, and for guys that are watching here that aren't familiar with this class, let me give a brief history of this. It would have been February or March of last year. You and I started talking about doing this class, and one of the things that we said was we want to stop the conjecture. I don't want any more of the I've heard. I don't want any more of they said or they say that this is bad, because
who's they?
We can research this information out there. We can find out what's really going on. And so much of pressure washing information, soft washing information is just unverified, hand-me-down crap, frankly.
Well, and that's partly why, I mean, in the class, we actually have info directly from Clorox, directly from Hardy, directly from Drive It. This is what we recommend. This is the process.
Right. This is what Drive It says. This is what Clorox says about bleach.
So it's not what Ray Burke says. It's not what, Billy Anderson says. It's not what any of these people say. It's what the manufacturer says. Right. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
This is what keeps you out of trouble doing it their way. And you're going to be surprised about some things in there of what they say.
Exactly.
course,
Exactly.
because but
no, people will. People are always just a little bit
surprised.
amazed at some of the things that, we sit there and tell them. And, we've heard this said in the groups, and I know Everett Abrams preaches about this a lot, that the manufacturers are actually in our groups watching. And
Mhm.
how could you not be a manufacturer and just hold your head down in shame? And why are people disallowing bleach? Why are people saying don't use bleach? Because they see yahoos out there talking about, oh, well, I spray everything at 50-50. 50-50 kills it all. You're right, Jethro.
Yeah, it does. Kills
50-50
everything.
does kill it all.
It's the salt trap too. Yeah, it's so funny when you see some of those and you're like, ah. Yeah, some of the information that's out there. That's why we definitely don't want to be that he said, she said, they said.
Yeah.
It's who really, and it's funny because you do have to look at some of these things and look at where the authority is. So when you look at things like Clorox as an authority or Hardy as the authority on their product,
mm-hmm.
sometimes what they're saying though is really just to cover their own butts, really.
Absolutely.
So you have to look at how it's worded and what they say, and these kinds of things to try to come to some conclusions. But it's easier to break it down when they say it, and there's
one of the things that we do in there is talk about how to read between the lines, because we have information in there about Hardy Board where Hardy Board says, okay, don't use bleach.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also say, look at Hardy Board's recommended cleaner, and then you tie it back to Hardy Board's recommended cleaner. What does that say to do? Mix with bleach.
Yeah,
so whenever you get tagged on that going, oh, I can't use bleach. Well, actually, Hardy Board does tell you to use bleach on there. Mm-hmm. Something else, and something, and not to give a plug for Spray Wash Pro, but we put up recently in Spray Wash Pro on the Facebook Pro site there, things about the Hardy Board pre-colored stuff, and the Hardy Board pre-colored their warranty information on the Hardy Plank pre-coated stuff basically says it's going to oxidize.
Yeah.
It's
going to do it. Yeah.
And we will warranty this, but we don't warranty the oxidation on
oxidation, right? And Brandon, we're talking about that. That may happen here sometime in the future.
Yeah, I think we will actually have a live class one day. Jacob, and I cannot figure out how to put my damn live comments on here. I'd love to, but I'm just technology dumb. But Jacob made a comment a minute back there, and he said Raymond's crews do exactly what Raymond teaches, seen it firsthand. Jacob came down and spent 10, 12 days with me on a window cleaning contract that I subbed out to him. And he was really...
Has his wife let him back home yet?
Actually, I thought he had those warrants and he couldn't go back to Iowa.
That's what it was, the warrants, yeah.
But Jacob saw, and I remember Jacob calling me and going, "Dude, you're actually not full of crap. Your guys did exactly what you always talk about doing, online, and yeah, they do, and I'm really proud of them for doing that, because it's what we need to do."
I don't want to go on about this too much because I don't want to make your head any bigger than it already is. But it's one of those things I say, and for those that don't know, what Ray does behind the scenes, it freaking amazes me to no end sometimes. Sometimes when he calls up and he says something about something, I'm like, dude, anytime this week, have you ever slept? I mean, have you ever, whatever it is, I mean, he's doing a lot for y'all. I just want y'all to know that. So.
Thad just told me how to find the button on there. So, yeah.
Did you find it?
I found it. Yeah, I'm looking at the little thing up top. So, Jake was making a little smart comments. Oh, it was surprising. Yeah, whatever. I had a good time. And let's talk about the huge convention here too, and get off our class. But Jacob is one of those guys that I met at a convention, and we had talked and I got to meet him. I took on a I took on about a $30,000 window cleaning contract last month, and I didn't know whether I should do it or not. And I called Jacob, who's a window licker, and Jacob, he encouraged me to do it. And I'm like, I can't do it. And he's like, well, I could come down and help you for a bit on that. And I had met him at a convention. So Jacob came down. I gave him my crew. Jacob taught my crew how to clean windows. We put them up. We taught him the joys of the fried soft shell crab sandwiches. And because of conventions, because of places like the huge convention, I made an additional $30,000 sale that I would not have made, because now I've got an ally in my corner. I've got somebody I can refer business to. Mm-hmm. And it's great, that's part of what everybody talks about on here, the networking, the getting to know people on these.
That's exactly true too. I mean, I didn't think about it until you just said that, but that's the conventions are really the reason that I'm able to make a sale that I'm making right now that's for a large sum, based on a piece of equipment that I'm getting. We're doing tomorrow. So I got it in there. But I doubt that I would have made it to that in the time that I made it in, without some of the people that I've had, that I've been introduced to that helped me learn about certain products. Sean Gross, I'm gonna throw it out there. I mean, him showing me and teaching me about his piece of equipment. I mean, I'm a soft wash guy. What am I doing buying a piece of pressure washing equipment? Hey, I wouldn't have had that if it hadn't been for conventions. That's really where it's at, and meeting these people, talking to one another, and building those relationships, like Chet just said.
Well, and you build trust too. You build trust on this, because it's real easy. I mean, let's face it. We've all been in some of these forums, and you see some Yahoo freaking answers. But to put a face behind a guy, and to actually, I mean, pardon my French here, but go, oh wait, I finally meet him. He's completely full of shit. Or this is a guy that I actually believe and I trust. I mean, because there's a lot of body language, and you can tell a lot about somebody whenever you meet them and look them in the eye, versus just because how many people are sitting here online, talking about oh, I know it. You don't know if they've washed a freaking doghouse before or not, But how many of us guys go out and our basic knowledge of washing has been gained from Facebook. And we don't know if the guy knows his butthole from a hole in the ground that we're taking advice from.
Yeah, you got to watch who you're taking advice from. That's true. Again, not to go back and tag a class, but that is why we go based on fact versus and real industry data, or not. That's not the right words. What manufacturers say instead of they said, and because we don't want to learn from that aspect of it. I mean, although there is a lot of that. I mean, let's face it. I mean, most of what I know is because I screwed up, and some of that screw up is from listening to somebody else that say, "Oh yeah, you spray bleach straight on roses and they love it." No, so it's what you learn from that. The school of hard knocks, really, and so a lot of what you're hearing online, some of it is really good stuff. Some of it is really bad stuff, and somehow you have to navigate those waters to figure out which one is right, which one is wrong.
Exactly.
I don't want to make costly mistakes.
I think that's something that you and I, love to do, and really any of the guys, that are part of Spray Wash Pro. And if you become a member of Spray Wash Pro, I know that we go. And I mean, I get probably 20 messages a day from people. I'm sure you're around the same way, but I know if you're a Spray Wash Pro member, it's like you have a priority. I'm answering you as much as you can. It's access to that, to help to to get those answers to you, because I mean, it's part of our association. It's part of our ongoing school. Education never, ever ends. You should always be learning. And I'll tell you, the day that whenever I sit there and say that I know everything, I don't need to learn anything else, just please put me out of my misery, because I've gone nuts. Because we can always learn. We can always learn shortcuts. We can always learn how to be a little bit better. We can always learn how to just make a little bit more on the margins. Don't ever listen to anybody that says they know everything.
Well, the man that knows everything is a fool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how I look at it. Because there is no way to know everything. There is no, there's silver bullet, like you've said in the past. There's no magic bullet. There's no silver bullet. There's hardcore knowledge, and that's what's going to get you there. And some of it you have to learn through the School of Hard Knocks. Some of it you can learn on, places like Spray Wash Academy, Spray Wash Pro, huge convention. But all of it is, I mean, I know it's the old cliche, but you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, what you're willing to do. Once you hear it, you have to apply it. You have to do it.
Yep.
It's you, and if you don't apply and you don't do, it's wasted time.
Absolutely. You brought up that about the.
Hey, Rob Harris, common sense isn't as common as it should be. Ray and I talked about that today.
Yeah. Common sense is not nearly as common as you think it is.
There you go.
What you just mentioned, the magic bullet, I'm going to be one of the keynote speakers at the huge convention this year, which really ought to scare the crap out of Thad, because, I'm one of those guys that you have no idea what I'm going to say whenever my mouth starts opening up. But one of my discussion is going to be about the easy button. And hint, there is no easy button. And I want to get in here and discuss this about the easy button mentality we have out there, because everybody thinks that there is that magic bullet, the silver button, the easy button. I can shortcut my way to success.
If that were true, we'd all be doing 7 million. What was it, 7 million a month? Yeah, we'd all be doing that.
I mean, it's just, I'll tell you what, I mean, anybody that sits there and says, oh, it's easy. Oh, follow my system. I'll make you rich. Run from that person, because it's work, guys. It is serious, hardcore work.
And it's work in, making sure that you do things the right way. That's the biggest part of it for me.
It's easy to be a flash in the pan. It's easy to get out and be an overnight success and a poof. And then what happens after the poof? You've got ashes, smoke, and where the hell did it go? The harder part about this life is, and it's funny because I think back about Jeremy Kiefer and I had a recent discussion, and Jeremy's semi in your climate versus my climate. I am hot, muggy, humid. Our algae grows back, boom, like that. Our stuff. And Jeremy pointed out something really important. He said, our stuff along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Louisiana area, he said, we don't kill it with 25%. We don't kill it with 30. We have to get a lot more aggressive with it, because we're not as hot as you, and we have a slower growing thing. And Jeremy told me, and it's really hitting me right now, but you think about a greenhouse, and you throw stuff on a greenhouse, and you put your lights on there, and you make it grow fast. Boom, boom, boom. And it gets green and beautiful, and it's growing, but it doesn't have deep roots. Mm-hmm. But now you do a slow growth. You do a water oak compared to a live oak. A live oak is slow growing, but now at 200 years old, that sumbitch is magnificent. I mean, it's 36 inches around. A water oak, you take the same live oak and a water oak, at the 15-year period, the live oak is still stunted little tiny thing. The water oak is a fast growing oak tree, and it looks much more majestic than the live oak. Kind of same thing with the regional differences of our algae that we're cleaning. Your stuff grows and it roots in deeper. My stuff is easier to kill. Right?
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting little thought on that. It's part of all, why all cleaning is regional. So
Steve Sally said about the easy button is a shortcut to paying at the School of Hard Knocks.
I love it. Oh, I got to make that our quote.
There you go. That's a good one.
Oh man, Dad's saying Jeremy's a Yankee. So woo,
Jeremy's a Yankee. That's
words.
Them fighting words. It is what it is. But that's the whole thing too. You're talking about it being regional. It really is everything, and that's part of why we cover things the way we cover them, is to make sure, because we can't just speak from what you know and from what I know, because you and I are actually in somewhat similar markets, but then when you get up to like Portland or Seattle or whatever, or you get up towards Virginia or Maine, things are so much different in the way things happen. And everybody up there gets to cheat because they all have rain gutters.
Right, exactly.
We don't.
And their stuff, let's say stuff along the eastern seaboard is easier to kill than what you and I are dealing with.
Right.
And then you get stuff up there in the way northeast, and then stuff up in the way northwest. They're dealing with moss mats on roof. I mean, I might deal with a moss, I don't know, pot holder every now and then that's like that big under an oak tree, a couple of them. But I mean, I've seen pictures of Brandon Vaughn's roofs where they literally had to take the broom and sweep the whole green moss mat off of it before. So
it's funny when you were talking about that, I was thinking the exact same video with Brandon scrubbing off that moss, because that's one of the things that I've always said is that you don't scrub off the moss because of the root system and all that. And then there's Brandon with that brush scrubbing it, and I'm like, and he's right. His area is so much different than ours.
Right. Because
you think a customer is going to let him go away with all this dead moss on the roof? No way.
Yeah, because again, you and I sit there and see little moss patches that big. He's talking the whole roof is covered with moss on there.
He's talking. He's got to go pull up the tack strips for all that carpet that's on it in order to roll it back, and he's putting it on rolls and selling it. Yeah. See, Brandon didn't make it. I'm gonna make fun of Brandon here a little bit. He's not here, so it's unfair. But that's how he really didn't grew his company. He was rolling all that carpet onto those things, just selling carpet everywhere. Love Brandon, by the way. I know he's not on here, but I love Brandon. So it's good to tease him.
No, and that's I'm so excited to listen to Brandon, because he's a real inspiration in
he really
the industry. He truly is, and I'm real excited.
And good, wholesome, good all around guy too.
Yeah, I really is. I'm going on before him, so I'm excited. Frankie Mullins saying he did a roof that had 5 inches of moss on the whole roof. Oh man, I mean that's just...
I don't envy you guys, but at least you guys have rain gutters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, why is it that the area that gets the most rain in the nation doesn't have rain gutters?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely not.
But yeah.
So you're getting now you're also teaching another class at the Huge, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a packages class as well, and I'll touch on that a little bit tomorrow as well. But yeah, I'm super excited to do both of them. The packages thing is something that really helped me grow my business to the point that we're at right now. So I use packages every day, even on commercial, believe it or not. Though I don't use packages much on commercial, you really kind of can't in some instances, but in some things, it's more about what packages really are. And sometimes you're creating packages without actually creating a package. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I'm super excited to teach that class as well.
Well, and you think about, and that's going to be part of just the regular Huge convention. That's not an extra class at all, right? That's included
with the fee that they pay to get into the Huge convention.
Right.
all kinds of free classes, and that are inside. Once you pay to get into the convention, you're in the convention, and everything inside there is at no additional cost. Like our class is actually the day before the convention, so make sure you come a day early, sign up for the class. We actually need to post a link in here. I don't know how to do that because I don't see it, but to be able to sign up for the class.
Let's see. Oh, I know exactly how to. Wait, hold on. I think I'm smart enough to do this.
Let's see if anything starts flowing out of his ears.
No kidding. Oh, hold on. Let me see here. For some reason, I'm under Eric Towers' comment here. I don't want to reply to Eric.
I saw you got Spray Wash Academy in there.
Hey, Doug, talk for a minute. Say something interesting if you can.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the class. That's what I want to talk about. So some of the things that we're going to cover, just so that everybody knows kind of what's there. I talked a little bit about technology. We're going to talk a little bit about masking techniques and kind of some things of how to mask them, and why you should mask some things. Because I know that that's also been a controversy where I don't tape anything and I've never taped anything and all that. But also talking a little bit about things like how does bleach actually kill? Right. There's some, going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to do some mixed ratios, math, a little bit of math in there. Talk a little bit about the salt trap. Some of this, I think, anyhow.
No, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, what you're saying is all things that we'll be talking about, and the salt is the absolute killer. And I do have the link if you want to sign up, spraywashacademy.com. I put it on there. We said we were going to raise the price. We haven't raised the price yet. I might get around to it. I honestly stay so busy. I kind of forgot to raise the price on July 1, and it is what it is. It's good, but yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, there's so many different things. Yeah, I remember the comment from somebody last year who, and he said, he goes, and he took the class and he's like, I never, ever mask anything. Remember that? And then he's like, yep. And then 3 outlets within like a month of the class, boom, pop, and you can't trust these things. And I still maintain, Doug, the electric booster pump, because at many times when the electric booster pump got popular, we started plugging into people's houses, okay? And then we had actually realized when we blew people's electric.
Yep.
I wonder how many times.
Let me wait, stop. I'm going to finish that. You're wondering how many times people trip breakers that they had no idea that they trip breakers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what happens? Whenever you come home, or the owner comes home, and
meat their freezer's dead.
Oh yeah. Or no, that's even worse. I mean, he just wants to, if you're lucky, his beer cooler is down. Yeah. Oh shit, my beer's warm. What really sucks now you want the other pissed off thing is the homeowner, the lady of the house, she's got to get ready in the morning, and her hair dryer doesn't work and her flattening iron doesn't work because all the GFIs are tied in together. Oh, now you're scum. She has to go to work with frizzy hair, wet frizzy hair. Oh, you're a horrible, horrible person.
Well, and it's sometimes they don't even know that it's you. And that's the thing that you have to hope for, because they are really fuming mad. And then they have to hire an electrician because their stuff isn't working. And then they find out it was you. Yep. And, cover your out. Especially today, we're going to talk about technology in the class. Technology is part of the reason that they need to be covering.
And what happens also, whenever you go and you trip their deep freezer, because not everybody goes and checks their deep freezer every day in the garage, and it's tied into the same breaker, and you've killed their deep freezer out there, and now all of a sudden you've destroyed the elk steaks that he went to Colorado on his special hunt and did, or you've killed $500 worth of food in there, and they open it up and it's just.
So let me ask you a question. Do you know the dollar value of the amount of meat that can be held in a standard upright freezer?
I don't know. Is it from those guys that sell the steaks for 99 cents that come by and
I'm just saying, I do know.
It would be thousands of dollars, I would assume. So.
It's probably about they're a little under $600. Just saying. At least that's what they told me, and I couldn't argue the fact. So
yeah. Is that what the insurance said?
That's not an insurance claim. That's just here's your money.
Yeah. Dollar bills, y'all.
Let me pay off. Hey, I just want to stick one more plug in there for the huge convention too. If y'all are still on the fence about going, I've said it, a dozen times. I'll say it a dozen more. Even if you don't go to our classes, the networking that you have there, the huge convention is, I'm going to say by far the best convention I've ever been to. My first one was in New Orleans. My second one in Atlanta. This will be my third. You know where my fourth one's going to be at? Bad. Can you tell us? Bad. Where's the fourth one? Bad. That's where we'll be anyhow.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never, God willing and the creek don't rise. I'll never miss another one. I mean, they're just, going to these things.
Important. Yeah.
I just, Steve Sally's saying we did a school building the last 2 days, taped everything off except for one outlet, and that's the one that he smoked. It is what happened. I remember, Steve, doing a restaurant not too long ago. It was a Hungry Howie's. I think I even did a live video from it. It was last year. And, so I've taped everything off. It's all just perfect. And my guys are spraying. And then at somewhere at like the 10-foot level above the drive-through, there's a freaking exposed outlet. And we're washing this thing at 1:00 at night. You couldn't even see it until you held the flashlight on it. And sure enough, power went off in the restaurant. The night crew, the whole backside of the kitchen, boom. It wasn't like a ground fault with a little red chip, tick right there on the thing. It tripped the main breaker. And by all means, I'm not an electrician, Doug. You're not a licensed electrician, so I can't sit here and say that I'm going to teach you how to do this. But we will be discussing things that we personally do to help
protect not only to protect us, but to protect the property. Because you don't know what's going to happen after you leave sometimes.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, you just never know. But anybody that's already committed and going to the huge, whether you're taking this class or not, my hat's off to you, because you're taking the step of actually investing in your business. That's the important thing of this world. And part of what we wind up talking about, you always hear the discussion about the $99 guys. I hate the $99 guys. The $99 guy is scum. That's what's ruining the industry. Doug, how often do you compete against the $99 guy?
How often do what?
How often do you compete against the $99 guy?
I compete against the $99 guy never.
Yeah. It's one of these things. Whenever you start in your marketing with the extended knowledge that you learn, they really become a non-issue, wouldn't you say?
They don't. They're nothing. I don't, you know, even when I started out soft washing, I never ever started out competing with the $99 guy, and the $99 guy has never bothered me. On the same token, I don't compete against the $2,000 guy. I mean, I run my own lane, and I create my own lane. I think Chet Hingle can pop in there and say how it was said, or how he says it, or whatever it is. Be the lane, or whatever it is. So if you focus on other people and what they do and how they do, so you can be that $99 guy and not tape stuff off, and you can be the $2,000 guy and not tape stuff off. Eventually, if you don't do things correctly, whether you're the $99 guy or the $2,000 guy, you're going to end up in some trouble. And you know, for me, and this is going to sound sappy, stupid, whatever, but for me, I look at the people inside. Okay. And I think about fires that have happened, and I think about, you know, the videos. So one of the pictures that'll be, you know, in the class, and the lives that are inside that building while I'm there and after I leave. You know, we deal with an area where there's a lot of guys that they sleep all day because they work at night,
right?
You know, in the plants. And if a fire broke out and we were on the opposite end of the house, who knows what's going to happen? Now, I got to do it right. You know, I can't take that chance.
Mm-hmm. You know, Rich is sitting there going, he just made a comment. I'm going to post it up here. We don't even compete with the people we talk to almost daily. And it's really true, you know, and stop worrying about these guys, because they're not if you do your marketing right, if you go after the right business, these cheap guys aren't really your competition.
Nope.
I mean, hold on. Let me grab something. Just talk for a second.
While you're grabbing it, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, the competition that we're talking about, even our own competition right beside us. I don't view the people beside me, the companies beside me, as competition. In fact, I help some of the people that are right there beside us. And the reason that I do it is because I had one here recently where I bid on a property, or I don't think we had gotten the information. Another one of my competitors sent me the information on a property and said, how much would you do this roof for? And I'm like, okay. So I figured it out and I sent him, this is what I would do it for. And then he's like, okay, great. And he had sold it for, I think it was $300 more, but couldn't get to it. Said, would you go do the job? You know, and I made all the money. He didn't make any commission or anything off of it. So you can't look at those around you as just competitors. I mean, I guess is the way I'm trying to say that. Mm-hmm. We all need to be working together in raising the industry, not necessarily worrying about the little stuff that happens on the sides, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean,
focus on us. That's what Richard just said. Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm in Florida, and I went over here to get this. I mean, just for
quickest pee ever.
We use Housecall Pro for our scheduling and everything, but you know, y'all can understand, I'm in Florida. I'm in the home of the $99 guy. Hell, I'm in the home of the freaking $49 guy. Honestly, we keep a manual backup, you know, calendar. This was June. I mean, that's 3 trucks going out every day, you know, booked up. Here's July right here. I mean, we're booked for the rest of July. I mean, it's just, if you stop worrying, August, I got some opening. I could actually wash something. August 1, I've got an opening on here, but still the majority of our August is actually, you know, pretty darn filled up right there. And that's not even with our monthly, you know, weekly maintenance accounts that we do on there. So what is
July,
that? Yeah.
August, September. That's love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's you don't worry so much about your competition, and you know, you just can't. And I remember, you know, Tim and I were actually doing some videotaping at a hotel a couple of years ago, and a hotel that I had washed personally 3 times before myself. And I said, Tim, come on, let's try out one of your new pumps. I want to show, because it was 5 stories. And I had this sneaky suspicion that we could hit 5 stories with the ground with the pump that Tim had developed out there. So we got out there, and Tim's like, hey, aren't you going to tape the outlets? And I was like, no, they're all in weatherproof boxes. I've never had to tape everything, blah, 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 blah. Sure enough, as I'm videotaping, Vasty is shooting, and there Tim's like, yeah, look at that outlet right there. I'm, right in front of us on there. I was like, okay, we're going to delete that video here real quick. And even though it was a weatherproof box, the gaskets dry out on these things. I mean, I cannot, express enough how you just always have to have an eye on the protection on there. And here's what's really, really crazy about that. And I'm so happy I had Tim with me that night or that day, because we're going, that outlet sizzled. Let's check it. So I gave Tim the screwdriver. He didn't realize that I gave him the screwdriver that actually had the metal
all the way through
shank of it, So he reached over to touch it. He's like, "Oh, son of
Yeah, you didn't realize it, right?
But guess what? Those wires were still live. It did not trip it. It tripped and fried that GFI. Smoked it up real pretty. Wires are still live. The wires were still live. And so the maintenance director is there at the hotel with us. And we said, hey, can we go find this? And he goes in there and he's looking at a panel box that's just nothing was labeled correctly on there. He's like, I can't find it. So he goes and gets his good screwdriver that doesn't have the solid metal shank coming all the way through it. And literally he ground it out. He's, hit the negative. And that's what tripped the breaker inside of the building finally. So if we would have just left, if we would have just left that building right there with a smoked outlet, that outlet was still hot and live and was still a fire hazard because the breaker itself didn't trip.
We had the same thing where it was at a church that we did, and even after using the screwdriver to purposely try to trip a breaker, arcing it across with the building, the people at the building's permission, because we couldn't find the breaker and we were trying to cut power. Even doing that, it would not trip the breaker. Directly arcing them across would not trip the breaker. That's one of the things that I think we'll be talking about too, is that a lot of people have they have a misconception that, it's protected by a GFI. It's protected by a GFI. Well, guess what? No, it's not. The front side, whatever you're plugging in, is protected by the GFI. The wires behind that are not protected by the GFI. Their live power doesn't matter what happens. That's why that GFI pries out.
They may have gotten smart and put a supplementary GFI behind it, but a lot of times, no, they didn't. You've got just a regular 20 amp, 15 amp breaker out there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite ones that I ever had, it was we were sitting there with an older couple, and Florida building code now says you have to have, I think, within 10 feet of the main panel box, you have to have a master GFI on there. Well, I fried a plug. Well, I didn't fry it. I tripped the plug, but it didn't trip the plug itself. It tripped the master GFI. So all the bathrooms, all of the kitchen, and all of the exterior outlets were now gone. Excuse me 1 second.
Hey, by the way, Richard, yeah, definitely. The one that Richard's talking about there, I missed that job by 1 day. That was when I was in Vegas, and I didn't make it back in time for the mandatory walkthrough, so I missed that job. It was a good job.
We could not find. I was freaking out. I mean, because I went through their panel box and did everything. I mean, I reset every breaker. I could not find a tripped breaker. And I'm like, this is just crazy. Something is going on here that I've never seen before on this property. And finally had an electrician on there, and they had put the master GFI in a Murphy ironing board. Underside of a Murphy ironing board. How would I have ever even known to look at that? Thank God the electrician, he had run into that before, but I had no idea that it would be under an ironing board that was in the utility room that backed up to the panel box. I didn't know to look for that.
It's under the third floorboard or whatever it is. Yep. Anyhow.
Sorry, responding back to my beautiful wife that calls. So but no, I am very excited. This is going to be just an awesome show as usual. Thad does an incredible job with the huge convention. I want you to thank Thad and Chris. You know, go. If you're on the fence about going, go. Absolutely. You're going to network. You're going to learn. And then if you come a day early and take our class, take our plant and property class. This is something, that we're experts. I can probably say that Doug and I are experts in the industry because we have made most mistakes that are humanly possible to make out there.
It's hard knocks. Steve,
it's not like human knowledge. God knows anybody that knows me. I mean, half the time I figure that people that come to, that follow me are like, if that goofball can do it, then God knows I can be successful at washing. But, we've been there and we're willing to share and we want to share. And we want to educate about this and make everybody a better washer. You and I share very similar stories of good financials, bad financials on here. And, and essentially washing has, brought us back from the ashes. So I could not be more raw about get out here and learn. And this is the most awesome job, career, business that you can have, whether you want to go single owner operator or you want to just go balls to the wall, 3-4 trucks.
Hey, Chris said I took it and it was well worth it with great information. One of the things I'll say about the class that I know we're not, some of the feedback that we get is truly, it's awe-inspiring. It really is. I love the feedback that we get. I'm going to share some of that here in the next couple of days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody that sent us messages, we've kept all your comments and I'll be sharing them. So
there you go. There you go.
Oh, great. I've got a 9:15 appointment and a 10:30 appointment tomorrow. I just found out. So Fridays are my day off.
I have an 8 o'clock in the morning appointment. Plus, I have a job interview. Somebody looking for a job in the morning. So
yeah, but you're getting one of the coolest toys ever in the morning.
I'm getting one of the coolest toys ever. We're gonna find out.
So you're gonna go live with that?
I'm gonna go live with that.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm gonna go live with that.
I am so proud. I am so proud.
I am super stoked. Yep. Y'all will see it at the same time I do. First time ever. So for those of you that are curious or interested, it'll be 8 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time is when it's supposed to be delivered to my door. And trucking company will be bringing it in and I'll be unloading it and seeing how it goes from there. Woo! I'm super excited.
That's
exciting. Saw a soft wash guy buying a piece of pressure wash equipment. I can't believe it, but hey.
All right, so get to the huge convention. Listen to Doug talk about package selling. Let's talk. You got a couple minutes more to hang out. I know you're probably.
I got all night.
All right. let's talk.
I might fall asleep, but you know, I got my energy level up from the new toy coming tomorrow. So
let's talk about packages for a second. You know, I want everybody to sit here and think about this. The most expensive moment that you're on a job is when
you get there, when you're setting up.
That first hour, right?
Yeah, first
Maybe
hour.
First hour, and then we can say breakdown too if you want to, but the travel to the job and then the setup on the job.
Setup time, yeah.
And if you can sell additional services to the people
while you're there,
why wouldn't you do it? Or even before you get there, you know? I mean, and it makes so much sense to do that whenever you know, and let's say that my minimum is $150 an hour, you know, so I'll go out and wash somebody's patio for $150 an hour minimum. And that includes drive out, set up, tear down, blah, blah, blah. So wouldn't it make sense if once I'm already there and these numbers are going to go from, my numbers are different than Doug's numbers are different than somebody else's numbers. It just is what it is. But so if your numbers are 150 at a minimum, if you can do other stuff for 125 while you're there an hour, you're kind of doing okay, wouldn't you say, Doug? I mean,
yeah, that's exactly it. You know, for me too, again, we don't have rain gutters here in Louisiana. And so, or very few houses that we work on have rain gutters. And so for me, you know, to go there and do the setup that we need to do to be able to protect all the plants and the property, it's a very time consuming thing. And so for me, there's other services that I need to try to sell. I don't need, but I want to sell to make it to where, hey, that truck goes there and it stays there all day and makes money all day in one spot. I don't have to worry about running from here to here. And, you know, I don't want my guys to be out, you know, trying to do 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 jobs in order to make me money when then they're getting home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. They're not happy, you know, that kind of thing. I'd rather sometimes, you know, right now they're getting off late every day, just crazy busy. But, you know, during the normal season, you know, they can go out and they make their full 8-hour day, whether they only work 6 or not. But we still, as a company, made our money because of the packages that we built and the upsells that we were able to do by building those packages.
Well, and think about this. You hear it all the time. Well, I made $300 an hour today.
But I only worked 1 hour.
Right, Jethro. But how many hours did you actually make that $300 an hour? You know, you don't count your drive time. You don't count this. You don't count that. You tore down. You drove an hour across town and you set up. But you're right. I worked 2 hours. Would you not be better off? It's one of the reasons I love commercial or larger residential or packages even, because if I can sit there and make 4 hours of it at 200 or 150 or whatever your rate is that you've set for your company minimum per hour, if I can make that for an extended period of time, you're a lot better off than driving all over hell's half acre and only working for an hour at a time for a higher rate most times.
Well, think about the scheduling on that too. I mean, you're scheduling, if you have to schedule 3 jobs in order to make that money every day, right? You got to try to make sure you're getting those all in the same area. Scheduling's got to kind of get to be a nightmare. So first of all, you have to schedule 3 to 4 times more jobs than I have to schedule. Now you got to drive around to all of those jobs in order to, you know, I look at my schedule and I'm like, God, man, how do we keep up? I can't imagine if we didn't have the packaging systems that we have in place to sell the jobs that we have to sell. And then if I were to just go out and sell just one roof here and one roof there and one roof there, I don't know how we would keep up.
Yeah, the onesie twosies, I mean, they suck. I mean, really, compared to actually doing a roof house driveway deck for somebody, and let me be there for 4 or 5 hours. Let me knock out 2 of those in a day for, $900 to $1,200. I mean, I'm much happier than doing, 4. And it might be different if you're the owner operator and you're the guy who is on the truck. It might be different for you, but I promise you, whenever you get employees, they're not going to be running on the same time schedule that you are running on. I run into this all the time. Tanya, my awesome wife, many of y'all know her. She says to me, because I'm one of the worst about it. It's an hour and a half job. And she says, Ray, is that crew time or is that Ray time?
Mm-hmm. I get the same thing. In fact, one of my guys told me today, this being my son actually that told me this today, and he's like, you always estimate times wrong. You always estimate times wrong. You always say, this is an hour and a half thing, or this is a 2.5 hours, or you guys should be done in 3.5 hours, and you're absolutely right. That's because that's my time. That's what it takes me.
It's me as the business owner time.
Exactly.
It's me as the guy who's not paying your salary time. I mean, it's
the guy that doesn't stop. The guy that,
of
course, I spend a lot of time on the phone spraying.
Right. But, and at the same time, am I going to, and God knows, let's go to a couple of the Facebook groups out there and, you share this information out there for people. It's like, well, my guys ain't going to do stuff like that. I'm going to make them work and I'm going to shut up. Seriously, you're not running crews with long-term employees out there if you have that attitude with them. I mean, seriously, if you want to be an asshole to your crews, you're going to be retraining your guys every 3 or 4 months, Did
you see what Thad posted? I mean, we already knew, but 40,000 square feet, 40,000 square feet.
Yep. I mean, I look at, we ran last year with 5 technicians, and hold on, I got to do some math right here, cause I'm real good at maths.
Where's Jacob's calculator?
Jeez. Hold on, damn it. This is really, now that I'm grabbing a calculator right here, it's really going to be funny about the next thing that I talk about, the segue into my class, because, I should be able to rattle this crap off my thing. So, because Thad told me to talk about my breakout class, but, each one of my technicians were worth roughly $150,000 to $170,000 to me.
Wow.
I'm not going to be an asshole to them about taking a little bit too long. And we all have our different management styles, but whenever I look at what I've paid them, God bless them. I mean, they've done, and that's also that's not including the expenses of the office and Tanya and our office manager. And that's basically devaluing my time to nothing, but still these guys they're worth money to you. You don't want to ride their butts into the ground on there and say, oh, I just, treat your technicians well, treat them very, very well.
And vet them well. I mean, it's hard to get good technicians to begin with. At least in my area, it's next to impossible. So when you get them, you really do want to treat them well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that damn Trump with his good economy and
I don't know what that guy's problem is. I mean, my taxes were lower this year than I've ever. I mean, it's that guy. I don't know what his problem is. I'm so tired of Trump. It's not even funny. He keeps putting more money in my pocket and everything else. I don't know what his problem.
Yep. Well, Thad wanted me to mention something about my breakout class too. The subject of my breakout classes, we're really going to talk about a couple of different things on there, but it's called Know Your Numbers. And it's very, very hard to figure out where you're going to go without a roadmap of figuring out where you're going to go to begin with. And part of that is to understand how much does this business cost? I mean, and let's figure it out. I mean, whenever you and I were both starting, a few years ago, well, several years ago, okay, 10 years ago, I want to make $100,000 a year. And so $100,000 a year. What an awesome benchmark to make. Okay.
Yep.
So what do I actually have to do to make $100,000 a year? And let's break this down. And I'm saying, I don't mean just that means I need to do $160,000 gross if depending on my profit ratio on there. But let's look at it and tear it down number by number. How many houses do I have to do? How many driveways at $150 do I have to do? If my insurance is $2,000 a year on there, if my insurance is $5,000 a year, what do I need to do? Because so many of us don't know. We think we're doing well, but we might not be doing well necessarily. And we also can show kind of a cutoff point where bigger isn't always better. The bigger you get, guess what? The more
you have more
on there.
More issues with equipment breakage, more issues with employees breaking things or not doing things correctly or damaging stuff. So your costs go up.
Yeah,
a good bit every time you take on a new employee. So yeah,
I mean, I remember back in the day whenever we were at 70% profit on that. Now we're at about 30% profit. We're
running right at about 25 or 27%. Right around there. I mean, and that's to me is a bad number, to be honest with you.
But it's a bad number. It might be a bad number for you.
Theoretically.
In theory. But, you look around industry wide, you look around at any other industry, comparatively speaking, where else are you getting 30%? Yeah. There's not a lot, I mean, hell, half the retail stores out there in America, the ones that haven't gone bankrupt, they stay open all year long, just basically to make everything after Thanksgiving Day profit for them. They're running 10% profitability.
That makes me actually wonder. I never thought about this till this very moment, but I wonder what the failure rate is for the exterior cleaning industry. Because as a whole, I mean, I can't remember the numbers, and I'd have to try to look them up. But as a whole, I believe that I don't want to make up a number. So it's an astronomical amount. The failure rate of new business is an astronomical amount. So right. I wonder what the failure rate of this industry is. You see what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up, Doug, because I just did this survey out there, and I published it in a lot of areas, and that's one of the things that where I talked about leading back to our class. I did this cleaning industry survey because I want real data. And that's not the last survey that I'm going to do. That was kind of a lead in to it because I would like some hardcore data numbers of, what is your tax liability? How many technicians do you have? Because this is such a relatively unknown industry out there. There's not a lot of hardcore data on there. But I would bet you that the failure rate for people that say I'm going to become a cleaner is probably huge.
Mm-hmm.
You
do see lately. I've been seeing quite a few people that have posted their stuff up for sale.
Right.
It's just not working in this market. It's just not, one reason or another. And one thing about that, and this is getting off of where we were originally going, but I would love if those people were to reach out instead of going out of business, because in most of it, I'm betting that there's a reason and that they just need a little help and guidance,
right,
to help make it that little bit further to go the right direction.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, and it's everybody blames the market. Everybody blames the market. I started in the crappiest market there was. I started at a time during what they call the Great Recession. Nobody had money. You started right after the Great Recession. Nobody had money. Stop blaming the market.
Yeah, I agree.
You know that I am very much the big lovable teddy bear, and at the same time I can box you on the nose the newspaper as well too. And sometimes you have to take some responsibility for yourself. Stop looking for the easy button. Stop blaming your market. I'll tell you what, if you've got a problem with your market and you're saying it's the market, look at the soles of your shoes right there. Take off your shoes and look at the soles of them. If you have worn off the freaking tread of them hanging out door hangers and knocking on doors, then it's not.
I had to leave my boots outside.
Huh?
Yeah. I had to leave mine outside. I went to grab them because the soles are gone off of them.
It's your fault. You're not out marketing yourself.
Yes.
Chris just said Goya. Absolutely.
Yep, Goya.
Get off your ass.
Yep.
Pat Clark is famous for it. You know?
Exactly. You know, it's a funny thing because, you know, Facebook is good and bad at the same time. But I do see some guys that that are failing, is the only way to say it. And they're spending so much time on Facebook. And there's a lot of good information. There's a lot of bad information, but you know, at some point in time, you have to say, Facebook, gone, you know, you're out of here. I got to go out and I got to do this. I got to make something happen. And I can't do it all sitting here at the computer. Right. And, you know, I got to get out and I got to do it.
This suntan on our faces isn't from sitting in front. Yeah, it's not from sitting in front of the damn computer, you know? Yeah. I mean, the skin cancer I just had removed right here wasn't for sitting in front of a computer. That wasn't radiation from the mouse.
Yeah, there you go.
It was from getting out and working.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't, I mean, everything is, well, it's the same thing that I've said often about certifications. Certifications mean zero. They're worth nothing if you don't do something with them. Right?
Exactly. If you want
all of this is worth nothing if you don't do something.
Market it. Marketing is an active verb. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it implies action. It implies that you're actually doing something, not, you know, do something. That's what you have to do.
You know, those are to be honest with you, and you know, you get a lot of phone calls, people asking you for help and this sort of thing. And that's the type of people I like to help. Derek Moody is on here right now. And Derek's one of those guys I like to help because he wants to do it. He wants to do it right. He's, you know, he's active. He's moving forward. He's making the right noise. And he's doing what he needs to do to support his family and to do more than support his family, to grow his business. And so those are the kinds of people that I like to help, and those are the kinds of people I respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
get off your butts.
Get off
your butts, first of all, and then get off your butts and come to the class, or go to the Huge, and then get off your butts and come to the class. Actually, I guess you would come to our class first since it's the day before the Huge, but do it all. Just do it.
You know, Thad, I just posted a comment from Thad that says, everything works, nothing doesn't. That's actually the title of my keynote address out there, where, I mean, Jacob said, hey, take us to church. I'm going to take you to church. We going to church. It's what we're going to do whenever I get up there and do my keynote on there, because it's not... Everything works. If you do something, it works. But the key point is you have to do something. You have to Goya, as Pat says. You have to get off your ass
and do it.
But if you do something, I mean, is it a coupon? Is it a fancy business card? Is it a regular business card? Is it a trifold? I don't know. But you know, whatever it is, don't use it as a crutch. Get out there and do it. Be seen. Be in front of people.
You know, there's no way, when I started just a little over 6 years ago, I guess, that I could have been tomorrow having a
Keep talking.
Very expensive, very, very expensive piece of equipment delivered to us. If I had just sat around and waited for things to happen. A lot of my business, of course, is built on creating packages. But the second side, and probably the most important side, is the relationships that I build with virtually everybody I meet and virtually everybody I see. And you have to find a way sometimes to break outside your shell, because I know a lot of guys that will tell me that I'm too shy. I'm not comfortable talking to anybody else. And you have to find a way to break out of that shell and be able to, you don't have to be anybody but you. That's not what I'm not saying be somebody else, but find a way to break out of your shell a little bit and start talking to people at random to build your confidence in talking with people, to build those relationships with people. You'd be amazed at some of the people that you meet and talk to and think that you would never get along with. And boom. Quick story, I was in Vegas playing at the World Series of Poker and was in a long line waiting, and there's this, older lady there with me that her views and my views are completely different. You would think there's no way we could hit it off, and we did by just talking to each other and first of all finding a little compromise in our views, but just being able to talk to each other and build a relationship. Relationships are where it's at.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get them at the huge.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a great website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got great SEO.
Okay. How many jobs does your website sell?
Probably not many. I mean, I know that people obviously view our website and I get comments on our website, but right. I honestly don't have an exact number for you. Most of our jobs are referrals. That's right. Really where our jobs come from.
I mean, does anybody have a website that says, "Oh, I sell from my website. I sell from my website"? No, you don't. I mean, seriously, sure. I'm sure there's, my statistics teacher back in college told me, always watch out for the striped zebra in the bushes, which was his way of saying, there's always a statistical anomaly out there. Mm-hmm. But we all have none of your collateral material, none of your crap sells for you. It might make your introduction. It might help you open the door, but the sales is you talking to you right there, me talking to you. I'm doing this funny finger thing because it's showing kind of funny on that. There's a sales. Don't rely on the crutches. If you need to go to Toastmasters, do it. If you need to go to a tips group, do it. Get up. Be comfortable getting up in front of people and talking. And we all have our own different sales styles of doing it.
Something though, Ray, when you look at it, if you're not comfortable selling and you're not comfortable talking to people, and if you have employees, see if they are. Why not? Get them. If they have an outgoing personality that you don't have, maybe you send them to go next door and do the 5 rounds, as they're called. Mm-hmm. That would help increase sales as well and help build relationships as well. So build relationships with your employees as well, and nurture them into doing some of that uncomfortable stuff that you don't want to do, but you do need to break out of your shell.
Absolutely. Get out of your comfort zone. That's why I talked about showed my shoes a minute ago. I mean, you need to be if you're a residential guy and you're throwing in the towel, why aren't you out putting door hangers out at least? I mean, and let's say you hate talking to people, but you've got to get stuff into customers. I mean, run up to the door and stick it on there and run back, and run to the next house, and maybe they'll call you and you can sell over the phone. But you've got to be out there making impressions to people.
Yeah, I might be a little bit too fat and too old to show you my shoes right now, but I'm going to try here.
Oh my God.
I'll wear them out.
What happened to your legs?
Well, actually, that's a whole nother story. I actually crushed my legs years ago. So I don't have any hair on the lower portions of them, and they get sores all over them. And it's all, yeah, all right, we won't go there.
You know, Thad just made a comment. He ran a mortgage office, and Thad and I actually have incredibly similar backgrounds. I was a real estate developer. He had a mortgage office, mortgage banker, back during the Great Recession, whenever so many of us who were in real estate, you were in real estate, Doug. I mean, you were ancillary service to real estate.
Mm-hmm. I used to own a house flipping company. We were the largest company in the city.
And it wiped so many of us out there. So, I mean,
I was wiped out because of a business partner, but
true.
Nonetheless.
But, I mean, still the crap happened out there, and so you just got to get out there and do it. You just got to get out there. That's why that, an old video that I did, years ago, or a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe, and talks about the magic bullet. The true best tool is a grinder, just getting out there and grinding away every day at your business.
Exactly.
And if you suck at it, then hire a salesperson.
You might be surprised if you suck at it and you think, well, I can't find a salesperson. There's a lot of older salespeople out there that are retired. They really don't want to work, but they want to do something on the side. And you could turn them into part-time salesmen. You'd be surprised at what they can end up making you. I've got a guy right now. I think he might have landed us a really big contract. I don't know yet. It's speculation, but he got us a demo at LSU. So I'm waiting to see what the outcome of that demo is going to be. We haven't done the demo yet. We do it next week, I think.
Oh, goodness. I think Tanya Burke joined.
Huh? Somebody said, hey,
Tanya Burke joined. So maybe she's going to listen. Hey, honey, we've been talking about you all night here. So
it's all been good. I swear. We've been keeping him nice. And,
and Thad just said something. Hire for whatever you're not a star at. Yeah. Absolutely. Whatever your weak point is, that's what you hire for.
Thad, thank you. I actually needed to hear that. I actually needed. No, I'm serious. I needed to hear that. One of my biggest weak point is actually in getting the right employees in place. Yep. We have such a hard time with employees here, and I need to look at hiring somebody to hire my employees. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea. Thank you, Ken.
You don't ever hire the guy that you necessarily, oh my God, he's just like me. He's the perfect person. Because you want somebody that complements your weaknesses. You want somebody that covers your weaknesses, not somebody that's just like you, because now you suck. I mean, we were talking earlier about partnerships. How many times do people go into partnerships on businesses? And actually, you and I
lost a multi-million-dollar business because of a business partner.
But I hire a partner that's just like me. No, you should actually hire a partner that's kind of a polar opposite of you in a lot of ways on that. Because, somebody needs to pick up the slack. I can't do what Tanya does. Tanya can't do necessarily what I do. Actually, she probably could do what I do, but I couldn't do what she does.
There you go.
Yeah.
You never know.
But and guys, I think if there's anything that I can express about this, first off, you gotta be yourself. You cannot be somebody that you're not. Whenever you're talking to customers, you can't sell in a way that you are uncomfortable with.
Look who popped in, Jay.
You really cannot. Thad said, Chris and he are polar opposites, and Thad's always said that to me. But I'll you want some Shakespeare quoted? Laertes to Polonius on there. First of all, this above all else, to thy own self be true. you have got to actually, your customers know whenever you're bullshitting them. People know whenever you're not being honest. So be honest and be true to yourself. I'm the goofy guy that it's actually kind of pretty technically smart. I can crack a joke pretty well on stuff. I'm horrible at follow-up. I'm horrible at returning messages. I get incredibly done. Now, Tanya is incredible at customer service. She's incredible at following up with people. So, in that respect, we make a very, very, very
awesome
good,
thing,
partnership in that. If you have a salesperson, don't have a salesperson that's just like you. Have a salesperson that complements your weaknesses out there.
Yeah, that's very true. We are definitely an anomaly. Yes, you are, Ted.
Jay Hill said he's a yin and he married a yang. So
yeah.
Yeah, John Tornabini said, the second you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're done. Bring on the best. Absolutely.
That's it.
You know what? You're never, ever, ever the smartest guy in the room. Don't ever, ever.
And if you spend too much time in the room, you're not Goya.
That's true. That's very true, Doug. You got to get out and get out and be, people aren't successful. Not in this business. You're not successful sitting behind a desk.
No.
Well, buddy, you look tired.
I am dead tired. It's been an incredible ride this year. I mean, we're selling things I didn't think we'd ever sell. I posted not too long ago. I sold a $50,000 concrete job, which actually now turned out to be a little over 73,000, and then they just ordered more today. I'm stoked about that. And then on top of that, I sold a $50,000. Two of them were 50 year, and I was like, oxidation job. Been a good year.
I heard something about the oxidation removal job. What was that line that I heard about that?
I don't know. You lost me. What did I say?
But no, you know what, guys?
What did I say? I don't remember.
Oh, I know somebody said that it was impossible.
That I was that it was something that was fake.
Yeah, that's fake. That can't be done, or something like that.
Can't be true. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Can I tell you something though? I'll tell you, it won't end up being a $50,000 job. It'll actually end up being a lot more and a lot less at the same time. Meaning that we actually sold this job a lot higher than I even anticipated I would sell it for. We sold it for $105 per door. They were so difficult to do. But we just happened to test the doors over here, and several of the different doors are reacting to the chemicals a little bit differently. So some of the doors came out really quick and really easy. And so I did the right thing, and I dropped our rate for those other doors down to $25 a door. So the range is $25 to $105 per door. He's happy. He'll end up taking us into other facilities that he has. And I see us doing many facilities for him. I think we'll probably end up, I'm guessing right now $300,000 he'll be into us just on the doors, and I think he's going to pop on the concrete as well. I think we're going to get several 100,000 square feet of concrete with him.
Wow, self-limiting behavior, and I know you got to go. I know you're exhausted and you work just as hard as I do, but let's talk. Okay, you actually probably work harder than I do, but let's talk about self-limiting behavior for 1 second. And I remember, and Jacob Deal, who's a very good friend of mine, and Jacob is one of those, and I don't want to get him full of himself, but he's kind of a little bit of a mentor to me. If you can have a big goofy mentor, he's a big goofy mentor. Tanya was actually in Italy at that international pressure washing conference. And I called Jacob and I called him and I said, I'm a little bit freaked out here because my largest account has just called me to do for a bid on extra stuff. And he basically talked me off the cliff on this because I'm going, gosh, they want a service, a monthly service for this and a monthly service for that. And this is a company that's already paying us about $40,000 a year just in recurring maintenance, not including all of the flat work, horizontal special stuff, which winds up being over 6 figures. And I'm telling Jacob on my way to the appointment, I'm like, you know what? I don't quite know what to do. I've got the numbers. And Jacob kind of talked me off the ledge. He's like, do they question your prices already? And I'm thinking, no, they don't question my prices already. They really don't. And I walked in that office with an incredible confidence after I got off the phone with him. And the guy sat there and I had my price list done up. And I'm like, you know what? I should feel comfortable in this price list. The man looked at me and said, that's awesome, but I want it done weekly, not monthly.
Booyah!
I gave myself an $80,000 a year pay raise that day.
Yep.
But I was going in there freaked out going, oh God, they're going to. It's not about that. It's about our service. It's about they're happy with us. It's about that we don't cause freaking bull crap, you know?
You know what that job is, Raymond?
What's that?
It's your job to lose.
Aren't they all?
Exactly what it is.